Unmute. There you go. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You good?
Yeah.
At this time, I'd like to get a roll call.
Matt Wood,
Here.
Andrea Egley.
I was like, who? Is that a new?
Had a rough day today.
I'll answer it.
Amy Egley, Justin Mays, Brandon Hutchison, Diane Pressler.
This time, do we have any adoption of minutes?
Yeah. Oh shoot, I forgot to pass them out to you. Yes, we do. July's. If you take one and pass one down.
Give you a second to think over this. Doing pretty good. Is there any questions or concerns? Minutes? This time I entertain a motion to approve the July 10th, 2025 meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the July 10, 2025 minutes.
Second.
Amy,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Brandon,
Yes.
Diane.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is considerations. Is there anything that needs to be added or changed to the next agenda? Oh, everybody good? All right, at this time, I'd like to open it up to public comment. As a reminder, this would be anything except for the public hearing that will be spoken about at the time of the public hearing. If there is anything else that needs to be brought up, this would be your time to speak.
Yes, I'm Mike Helderbrand, 1130 West 7th Street. And I'd like to thank whoever was involved for helping get that parcel cleaned up. I have a list of things here yet that need to be done, part of them. I'd like to know who to hand it to at this time so I can go over them. It would be too long to go over them at this time, I think.
Just take them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go ahead and take them.
I'd like them back, give them to Teresa. I'll pick them up and pay my bill or something, okay?
That works, yeah, no problem. Thanks.
Thank you.
Is there anything else anybody would like to discuss tonight? Yes. Please step up and state your name.
My name's Mike Daniels. I live here in town. I'm a couple of you guys. There's still been maybe rumors about the housing addition going out over at the 25 acres next to the school.
That'll be talked about at the public hearing here.
Okay,
The next
that's
thing.
perfect. I still want to, but I think mine isn't anything about that.
Okay.
I mean, it is, but it's not. It's more of a broader thing. I guess I'm curious why the town or you guys aren't having a set map of what we want for a town or what we foresee the town doing. So that we can say when a builder comes in, we can slide them over a map of what we want and say, this is what we're expecting. They say, oh no, we want to build 90 houses, whatever.
We have a comprehensive plan.
Well, okay. Okay, perfect then.
Um,
And how many houses are in that comprehensive plan that are just projected for over there?
It's more for zoning. So whether something's zoned residential, commercial, industrial,
Okay. So
it doesn't speak out the exact number of homes.
but why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we building the town the way we want it, not with a developer coming in and saying this is the way they want it?
I mean, I do feel that we are trying to do that, but at the same time, so for instance, tonight for this public hearing, anybody has the right to come up and petition for a rezone to use land in any way they see fit,
Sure.
regardless if it goes with or against our comprehensive plan.
Mhm.
Then it is up to the board to decide if we want to follow that plan or stray from it. But I can't tell somebody that they can't present that to us.
Oh, I'm not saying not to say that we can't present it. I'm just saying, why don't we have a better idea of what we're looking for out of it? And you're saying a comprehensive plan. So your comprehensive plan is just a zoning for it, correct?
It's not our comprehensive plan. Excuse me, can I speak?
Yeah.
It's a comprehensive plan that was done for the whole town of Lapel, even the annexed area. It doesn't specifically do anything. You can't stop people from applying,
Sure.
if that makes
Yes,
sense.
it does make sense.
But it was set out. A comprehensive plan isn't done like, okay, on this 40 acres here, we want to put 35 houses. On this 40 acres here, it's not set up that way. Am I saying the right thing? It's basically a zoning area. Like when it
Okay.
was set up, everything south of 38
Mhm.
is set up to do, there's no housing, nothing down in that area. Commercial, industrial, light industrial, and that kind of stuff
Sure.
is what the committee there was a committee formed when they did the comprehensive plan. Katie, I believe you were on that. There wasn't very many people that came, to be honest, and it was
Yeah.
expensive to do it. Thousands of dollars. So
Can I speak to add to yours?
Yeah, because I was not when that was
Yeah,
done,
no, you're
so
fine.
I can only speak so much.
So when it comes down to that for planning out the town, so like the property that's in question tonight does not belong to the town of Lapel. So we couldn't sit there as a committee and say, we want to put 30 homes on this 40-acre lot if it ever comes up for sale. The amount of time that would have taken to allot for every possible acreage in the town would have been impossible to plan out every single acre. So that's why we have the zoning maps that break it down into what we would like to see in the different open areas around the town.
Actually,
Does that make more sense?
it does. I mean, it made perfect sense the last time I heard it, but I worked for another municipality and they had everything lined out. I mean, I saw a map and we were trying to figure out where to park at, and it was here. And I said, that housing condition don't go in. That's not there. And they said, oh, it will be one day. And these are the houses that will be here. They already had it all lined out, how their town was going to set.
Now,
And they
as-
looked that far out into the future.
So
I'm
like
curious if
caveat, as a property owner, if you all of a sudden saw a plan that was proposed that on your property will someday be a park, I don't think you would take kindly to that. So that's why we didn't plan out specific parcels of land, because it's not owned by the town. So that's where we just set the standards on what we would like to see to go into those areas. And that's where we leave it to the further committees to decide whether or not they will allow any changes to what the town as a whole technically asked for.
The other side of this too, going back to what Teresa said also, especially when you start comparing what other towns do, there's things that I see he shares with us that we would love to do that other towns do, that I would agree with you 100%, we should be doing it, but we can't afford it. We're a small community, small town, funding's low, and there's only so far, and you'll agree with that. There's only so far we can stretch things, and we have to pick and choose. Okay, with our funding, what would we like to be able to do with it? How far can we take it?
Yeah.
I would love to have an online system for every parcel of property, so you can see anything that was attached to that parcel going back X amount of years. That's just not financially feasible for the size of Lapel to create that system either.
Okay.
If that helps answer your question. Is there anything else? Once, twice. All right. Next on the agenda was old business. There wasn't any. Going into new business, we have Arbor Homes has submitted a revised application for the rezone of the property south of State Road 32, west of County Road South 900 West, from C1 general commercial to a residential PUD.
Yes. So, for those watching and listening, I'm Marcellus Johnson. I'm the planning administrator for the town of Lapel, and I prepared the staff report here on this proposal. As Matt stated, this is a revised submission, and so this is a proposal that the Planning Commission has seen before, or a version of it they've seen before, which I've described on the procedure section there in the staff report. Get to the meat of it, looking at a 25-acre property. It's right now 2 parcels across the street from Lapel High School, and just south of State Road 32 at the northern end of town. The proposal is to develop a residential subdivision of 72 single-family homes on individual lots with a mix of 1 and 2 floor units. And then there will be 2 entrances, one to the north off of State Road 32 and one to the east off of South 900 West. There will also be footpaths connecting the sidewalks in the subdivision directly to Woodward Park to the south. And in the center of the subdivision is planned a retention pond and a gazebo and play amenity. So that's kind of the overall plan. Broken out the land use within development by percentage. You can see it's about a quarter green space, half of the development is going to be the housing, and then the remainder is the pond and the roads and paths. To talk about the consistency with Lapel's comprehensive plan, the vision stated in the plan is that Lapel will retain its small town character, strengthen its core business district, and create an affordable community for families by managing growth and planning to enrich its quality of place. It is staff's opinion that this development proposal is consistent with this vision in that it promotes smart growth in the sense that we're kind of filling this space that's very close to the town center. And through its adjacency to the park and to the high school, it's also promoting a development that is, good for families, good for the health of the residents in terms of being able to walk to the park, walk to school. And the vision that Arbor is proposing in terms of the the homes is consistent with the kinds of homes we see in the adjacent neighborhoods. And so it is retaining that a similar character there. And with these houses being close to the business district, the hope is that this will provide a growing consumer base for downtown businesses. The main inconsistency with the comprehensive plan is that the comprehensive plan designates this property for future commercial use. The idea being that it being on a state road would make it ideal for a sort of regional commercial center where you might see a big box store, or with maybe some other, restaurants or other shopping sort of attached to it. Shopping center kind of situation that would not be supported just by people in the town, but people in neighboring parts of Madison County. And ultimately it would be up to Plan Commission and Town Council to decide whether or not they think that reserving this property for commercial use is better than allowing it to be residential. Staff position is simply that this parcel has been vacant for a long time. We haven't seen commercial applicants come forward, but Arbor's, I think, just in the last 5 to 10 years, Arbor is actually the second residential developer to approach the town interested in this property. So the market seems to be suggesting that it might be better served residential. As far as traffic impacts go, Arbor Homes did commission a traffic study. And while the study, of course, did find that there are going to be more cars, particularly in the morning peak, as there's going to be 72 new households, they found that the afternoon peak or the evening peak should not be too significantly impacted, and that the change in traffic would not require additional roadway improvements. So there wouldn't be the need necessarily to provide a traffic light or anything like that at either the entrances or at the intersection of 900 and 32. Or 900 and 200 either. And then for the school capacity impacts, that's always hard to say. You can't really tell how fast people are going to move in and what people are going to move in. But given the way that these kinds of developments tend to go, we can assume that not all the households are going to be built all at once, not all going to be moved in at once. And so we can expect that it's not going to be this sudden influx of students all in the same grade or in the same few grades clustered together for the school district to handle. And that kind of concludes the sort of high level analysis of the proposal. What follows in the staff report is a analysis of how the proposed PUD ordinance compares to the existing ordinance with regards to the underlying zoning district here, which is R2. What that basically just means is that the PUD ordinance is using the R2 district standards and is suggesting deviations from there. And so that's what we compared it to. And you can see the tables there where the proposed ordinance introduces standards that are less strict than Lapel standards. They're highlighted in red, and where they introduce standards that are either more strict or a standard that Lapel doesn't have, they're highlighted in green. So you can kind of check the balance there. And then if it's black, it's just a standard that's the same as what Lapel has. Overall, sort of taking the green with the red, most of the red is things that are standards that are reduced by amounts that are not too concerning to staff. A smaller minimum lot area, but not that much smaller, smaller lot width, but not that much smaller. Things like of that nature. Overall, staff has provided an analysis of what each of those various deviations would mean, or what you might be able to expect from that. And if there's any questions about any of that stuff, I'm happy to go more into that. But ultimately, at the end, come to the recommendations from staff. And staff recommends that this application receive a favorable recommendation to town council based on the following findings. We find that it fulfills the requirements and intents of the subdivision control ordinance. Proposed deviates from the future land use map. It is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the plan in that it promotes compact development and will attract more residents to the in-town parts of Lapel, which will promote downtown businesses by bringing in new customers. The proposed rezone PUD is compatible with current conditions and the overall character of existing development in the immediate vicinity. As there has been little to no other interest in this property, it is presumed that the proposed rezone PUD is the most desirable use for which the land in the subject property is adapted. The proposed rezone PUD is unlikely to have an adverse effect on the value of properties throughout the jurisdiction, and the proposed rezone PUD reflects responsible standards for development and growth by proposing compact and walkable development with convenient access to schools and recreation. And then I posted the motion options there for you. And that concludes the staff report.
Thank you. At this time, is anybody with the...
And before I start, I had some handouts I should pass around.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you have a few extra, can you just hand them out?
Sure.
Can you just clarify one thing? Half of the property will have housing on it, so you'll build 72 homes on half of that acreage?
Yes, those 25 acres, 25% or 50% of that 25 acres is taken up by the home sites, the individual lot of the development. The remainder of that property is taken up by the open space, the pond, the roads.
We can go more in depth with that once we open it up for public comment.
I just want to make sure that's what I said.
Okay.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Tony Bagato. I'm with Arbor Homes. Our address is 9225 Harrison Park Court in Indianapolis, 46216. And again, with Arbor Homes, first I want to thank ourselves time. It's been a lot of time and effort on our end as well as his. And we've been here several times before with a previous proposal. That one, we had a new product we were trying to introduce called Arrival. Those are 40-foot wide home sites that had 30-foot wide homes. They were 2 to 3 stories. And we heard some concerns that didn't fit in with the character of Lapel, given there's a lot more ranches and just 2-story homes in here. So we took those comments to heart and we went back to redesign it and are just coming back now with only our Arbor Homes, which has been in the market for about 30 years as a local builder. We're a production builder, but we do offer custom options in the sense that our home buyers get to come in, they get to pick their home site they want to live on, as well as they get to pick their floor plan, and then they're coloring all within reason, like there's anti-monotony standards, so you can't have the same home next to the same one with the same color, but generally speaking, they get to pick that and pick also some of the interior. They come into our design center, so unlike some other builders, you may just go in and buy whatever's available. They just pre-build them. This is what's called spec housing. We don't do that here, so we sell to our individual buyers. As noted, the site, it's on the south side of State Road 32, across from Lapel High School. Adjacent to the park is the south side, as Marcellus mentioned, as well as to the west. We have a gas station at the northwest corner, and then next to us is some small buildings with a sports area and kind of the general surrounding area. The property's been vacant. As Marcellus mentioned, I think there was a previous PUD approved here that allowed for a mix of commercial and single family that had 15-foot wide homes with one-car garages. That was just a few years ago. It didn't seem to go forward by that developer. And so, and commercial in general, this has not seemed to be appealing, as well as, we've heard concerns about traffic. So from my standpoint, if traffic is concerned here, especially with the school, commercial would bring a lot more.
Can you speak up, please?
Yeah, sorry. I was saying that if commercial did come forward, there'd be a lot more traffic concerns, especially with the schooling. And so when we proposed residential, we originally met with Oksana. She thought it would be a good use, even though the comp plan shows being commercial. And so with our, we'll get to the site plan on the next few pages of the board here. So the site is just really, it's almost a square site. And so it doesn't lend itself to a lot of creativity with design. We just created pretty much a loop road that provides for the 72 homes. Again, now they're the arbor lots, so they're bigger, 40-foot wide. Now they're 56. The zoning does ask for 60, so there's a 4-foot deviation in that request. Square footage wise, we're around 6,200 when the zoning is around 7,000. So there's again a little bit smaller lots, but there's other trade-offs that we're providing architecturally. When you come in, we have one entrance off State Road 32. You make a right, you can make a right in and a right out, left in, left out as well. Stop control. And when you come in, you're going to see first our amenity area we created. There's going to be a playground down with a view into the pond and a gazebo that can highlight that area for recreation for the residents. And then basically we just drive around this loop. We have another access point off of County Road 900. And then we created internal sidewalks are part of the plan as well that I'll highlight here. And we have some internal paths that lead the residents to the park to the south. And that's this plan here. It's on one of the pages of the presentation you have as well. So you can see here. On this plan, it shows the different types of paths. So in red, the perimeter path is a 10-foot wide multi-purpose path that would allow for 10-foot wide asphalt. This is required on the perimeter roads. We do have it on State Road 32 as well as County Road 900. Now, technically, there's a commercial site at the corner. We don't have full frontage, but what we worked an idea to bring the path in internally so that if people in the public, as well as our own residents, if this is approved, would come in and be able to walk around the entire site without having to go on the street and not have a sidewalk. So we continued this around there because I don't believe that's required by the code. It's usually only required on the perimeter. So if this ever redeveloped in the future, there'd be another path here, but in the interim, we'd have one internal that brings residents down there. The blue is the internal sidewalks, so those are 5-foot wide. They'll be concrete, and then the green is the ones that connect here to the park. So those are 8-foot wide asphalt paths, again providing all the connectivity within the plan. For our homes, your exhibit shows only the arbor. I didn't have a slide with only arbor, so you can ignore this half of the board. These are the arrival homes that we were previously showing. So we're not proposing those at this site. They're only going to be arbor homes. So under this, there's 12 different floor plans. They have up to 5 elevations in each floor plan. All kinds of options of, from brick wainscot to half brick to more brick. And so we like to have that as a variety versus requiring everyone to have, say, 50% brick. It provides more of a diverse look, and then it gives homeowners more of their custom feel. They got to pick and choose on how the home looked, and there's more diversity in the streetscape. Otherwise, it creates, in my opinion, more monotony when there's something like everyone has to have X amount percentage. It can become more monotonous. So we feel that this creates more diverse community aesthetic-wise. Those plans range from 1,200 to 3,200 square feet. So there's ranch as well as single-story or 2-story options. And then we have, if room allows it, there will be room for optional sunrooms, but if on some of the larger lots we could fit 3-car garages, would be also allowed for those residents. Today, based on market conditions, arbor home sells in the low to mid and even up to high 300,000. So that's a starting price point for arbor homes. Traffic is one of the last things I want to highlight before my conclusion here. So I did do a printout of just an image that shows, and I won't go over all these numbers, but in the traffic study, A&F engineering was used to do the traffic study. They look at road capacity. They don't look at road maintenance in a sense. They're not looking at the quality of the roads. They just look at whether or not it can handle, what level of traffic it can handle. And so this shows the intersections as well as the entrances that were studied. And in the report, it shows percentage of which, based on traffic modeling and engineering, that's above my pay grade. They look at they have percentages that's based on the way the traffic volume should work. And in that study, it showed, listed out here, all those intersections that were studied as well as the entrances that were not the entrances, sorry, but the intersections had no improvements required. The entrances, there would be, what's required is an XL decel lane so that when cars are pulling in and out, they would be able to merge out of the main road to help with traffic, not creating a traffic issue. And then, of course, stop control means there'll be stop points, stop signs for those people coming in and out of our community so that they have to stop before they just go out through the roadway. As well, as part of the traffic study, NDOT was part of the process, and they do what's called a traffic warrant analysis. So at the high school, Lapel at 932, they made us do, A&F engineering had to do a study whether or not that intersection would warrant the need for a traffic signal, and that was found not needed. Again, the issue is that even though the school's there, the school's hours, their peak hours tend to vary from residential peak hours. The traffic for people leaving for work can be earlier, even now later, with people working from home, and then they arrive much later than when buses would be coming in and out. So even though again with 72 homes, it does bring more traffic, it shouldn't be a conflict with the schools that the traffic study found. So no need for that signal as well as those improvements. So in conclusion, as Marcel mentioned, it is consistent with the goals of kind of small planned out growth and comp plan, but from a land use side, it does call for commercial. Again, I think residential makes more sense. This is an ideal spot where residential would work since you're surrounded by close amenities, the school, as well as other services, compared to what would be like spot zoning out in the middle of an agricultural field that has nothing around it. That's more of a challenge for those residents, where this is more ideal to being close to a lot of those services that the town can offer. And then lastly, there's a few things I wanted to point out that I don't think was intended to be left out of the PUD. So for example, lot trees on per tree on each lot, we will have a tree on each lot. I guess it just putting everything, I must have misstated that specifically, but the intent is to have every lot will have at least one tree and 5 shrubs. And that's the way we build it as arbor. Also, the rear setback showed we put 15, but we can meet the 25, so that's not a problem. It wasn't intended to be less than the code. It's just I got that from another PUD, so I just carried over. But with our lot depth, we have 120 feet, so with the front setback requirements, the size of the home, we should easily meet the 25. So we can make those corrections before it goes to the town council if this is supported tonight, so that it's corrected in the revised version. But I just wanted to highlight that those were not intended to be changed, so we can add that language. And with that, I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. This time I'd like to pause the planning commission and open this up for public hearing. Does the public have any questions? Yes.
Questions up there?
Yeah, go up there and state your name.
Okay. David Benfield, Anderson, MPO. Just really about the traffic study. I was looking online, looking at the traffic study that was done. Submitted to NDOT. Is NDOT going to be requiring a write-in, write-out on 32? Is that correct?
I believe it's full access.
It's going to be full access, and they do not restrict you at all. Are they doing any, making you do any lanes off of 32 as they enter?
The XL diesel lanes.
Yes, they are making you do that. Okay. Any other specifics that they're making you add to? Just that's all.
Thank you. Any other comments? The lighting. Would you like to speak on the street lights?
Yeah, we provided a full plan that shows the lighting. We're not asking for anything that doesn't comply with the town standards, so it would be what the town allows for. And I think we didn't show any lighting, so we're talking with the planners, it was encouraged to have lighting. I thought there'd be a safety concern, so we proposed just what the town would allow for, nothing above and beyond. It wouldn't be brighter.
Does that answer the question?
Not really, but it's the town.
I do not know the specs on that, right?
Do you have
Sorry,
that?
I'm trying to find the right exhibit.
I'm trying to find it too. I just had it.
Because I know I know
Yeah,
it's in here.
I printed it.
I got it.
You got it?
Well, I had it.
I've got some.
Exhibit two.
There's a freestanding this one.
So those are the standards. I'm trying to find the lighting. Wasn't there a plan that showed all that?
There was a
Yeah,
drawing that shows the lighting,
a whole graph on it.
but I didn't know if it compared it to what our town's saying.
Here it is. It's on page 42, 40, or technically 41, 42.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, because the town standards are, like, I can't quote them to you off the top of my head, but it's like, you have to provide enough lighting to achieve a certain number of what they call foot candles, which is just like a distance for how far the light extends beyond the fixture.
1 foot candle.
Do you want me to read it?
Sure.
It's here. I mean, okay, lighting from property may not cause more than 1 foot candle illumination beyond the property line. Measurements of light readings shall be taken along any property line of the subject property with a light meter facing the center of the property height of 6 feet. Street lighting standards, street row lighting, including the lighting provided along internal pedestrian paths, shall be provided throughout the development to provide security and safe pedestrian and automotive movement. Street lights shall be provided at all intersections of the road within and adjacent to the subdivision, and where necessary to provide continuous lighting on all the residential streets, sidewalks, and paths. Specific location of street lighting shall be determined by the planning commission and engineer of the town council based on lighting options being available. Streetlights shall be located in required buffer strips which separate the road from the sidewalk. All costs related to the street lighting shall be the responsibility of the developer. All costs relating to the use and maintenance of streetlights shall be responsible of the homeowners association and the developer.
I assume to help clarify that too. Looking at your guys' drawing, it would be similar to Tuscany?
Yeah, like I say, we're building already here, so the street lighting you see there would be similar because those comply with the town standards.
Just for a good example. What I would assume we would expect.
Because I think initially they were proposing to only put lighting at the entrance.
Correct. That was their initial proposal, which that was one of the comments.
I'm just curious, you said, were there any other comment? I had a comment, not necessarily a question. Is that later?
Okay, no, you can go ahead.
Okay. Do you mind if I don't get up on pretty quick?
That's fine. Can you speak, state your name though?
Sure. My name is Christy Worthman. I live on Vine Street within sightline of where this is going to go. And just a couple quick comments. I'm not sure when they did the traffic study, but I actually have to go that way to get out to work in the morning. And I already, after COVID, when we still have a lot of people working from home, have to leave 30 minutes before to leave to get out. Otherwise, I can't turn because of all the traffic coming in and out from the school. I cannot imagine that they will not be impacted by adding an additional 72 homes. And while I appreciate that the engineers or whoever does the traffic study may be well versed, I would challenge them to come at 7:30 and sit in that line and tell me it's not going to happen. My main comment is just going back to the comprehensive study. One of the things that's come up previously and been spoken by both this body and the town council was that the comprehensive plan was intended to take the town's opinion, the residents' opinion into effect of how they wanted their town to lay out, similar to what Mr. Daniel said. And we've repeatedly been told that, because of that should be somewhat sacrosanct. We should really think hard about whether or not we want to basically go against the will of the people, if we believe that was the will of the people, what was put out by the steering committee. Well, to say, well, there hasn't been anybody commercial come to that area yet, and so we think that in the best interest of filling that space, we should change the comprehensive plan. My question would be, how is that thinking in line with smart growth? The point of smart growth is not only to fill the space, right, in the right amount of time while we can keep up with it from an infrastructure standpoint, but also to wait for the right situation, to wait for the right proposal. And, you know, I question whether or not this is it, and I brought it at the last meeting. There's, I believe, 17 acres of county road right across the county road on Vine Street right now that's up for sale. That most likely will be picked up by a developer. You have the acreage to the north that has already started to see some development. The likelihood is that the nearby areas will, within 5 to 10 years, be developed residential. That will make that more likely to be prime commercial space, which will have, in the long run, a greater benefit to the residents of the community, the residents not just in the community, but just outside of the community, and also the property tax value that you'll receive as a town. So while this may seem to fit an immediate benefit, the question is, does the immediate benefit outweigh the potential long-term benefits, especially when they're already in line with what we're calling the well of the weekend?
Thank you. Does anybody else have anything? You did.
So I'm
Can you state your name?
Amy Jones. I'm representing the business that's on the corner that in the picture. And I have a couple questions. One is, we want to know like who, there's a fence, and who will they want in between that and their path, will they be maintaining that part behind our fence that's there? And
The fence is on the property line, so it's just the backside of the fence. Will that be maintained by Arbor Homes or whoever does your landscape type? They mow, I guess you pay to mow, or I mean, it'd be in that area of the that landscape easement. Between the path and the backside of that fence around. There's a perimeter fence around that storage facility.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't think we've done that level of knowing that, where like, in the sense of that fence is, if it's on our side. I mean, we can definitely consider keeping it, it helps screen the commercial, but that's something I'm just not too well aware of.
Okay, and then like the landscaping that's put there is obviously, what I see is on the inside that perimeter walkway.
however, there's one canopy tree that's.
Yeah, in the landscape
It looks
plan.
like it's on our property. It might just be. a
Yeah,
mistake.
in the landscape plan, there's a canopy tree that's actually on the fence. It looks like within 5 feet of that fence. It's actually goes over the top of that perimeter fence. And that may just be something that was just,
Yeah,
put out, that's just a quickie,
It might be a mistake.
I don't know if you're probably not gonna put a tree where one of those X's are, I'm guessing,
no,
but
it's
if
just,
you are, that one might not need to go there.
yeah, I mean, if the zoning is approved, we do more engineering detailed plans that will show more specific when we look at that.
The landscape.
Yeah.
There is different levels of approval going forward. if it were
Okay, that
passed.
was, okay. So
Yes.
our only concern is when we don't,
And that'll get more detailed exactly where the lights are sitting and
And then,
well, because they're gonna.
stuff like that, trees.
People's backyards are gonna be facing that facility, and then that, obviously the lighting from that facility is gonna be washing onto or possibly to be washing onto the back of those
Yeah.
properties as well.
and we would want to make sure we had access to the fence in case it needed repair because of the problem area.
And if it got approved tonight, that would be something I would recommend you guys coming for like the primary plats and stuff like that. Where we get more detailed of what does this property
Okay.
look like? What are we approving? 100%.
Okay, so if there's a zoning approval, then there's obviously.
Right.
more to go.
You can speak on that.
Okay.
Yeah. What Matt said is good advice. When it comes to the time for the plats, that will get more specific on like the property boundaries. That'll also be where they are approving the covenants and the restrictions and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so that's the time where any sort of property agreements that need to come into place in terms of like stuff that they might, things that they need to come to an agreement with neighbors. That's where stuff like that is going to start coming in.
Okay. Then as far as this being R2, is this only gonna be connected to this CUD? Or is it, if they would change that to the 6,000 square feet?
No,
maybe
so,
6 what, is that?
no, so this PUD
Will other
ordinance
lots-
only applies to this property.
Okay, so other lots in town could
Right.
be smaller.
Right.
Or it doesn't affect other lots.
They're just basing it kind of off the R2. Do you want to explain what a PUD is? real quick?
Yes,
Because we haven't
so
done a lot of it, so.
a PUD is a planned unit development. It just means that, it gives the property owner, the right to sort of establish their own set of, development requirements that applies only to their property.
Only to their property, okay.
The upside to that, just to help clarify too, the upside to that is that, yes, the builder can change some things that don't necessarily fit the R2. And then the plus side to the town is we can also change some things
Mhm.
that doesn't fit the R2 that we want to see. And so it's more of a give and take build versus here's a set standard, you're following this.
Right. Okay, that makes
Is there any other questions? Did we answer your question earlier? All right. If there is no other questions at this time, I'd like to end the public comment and resume the planning commission. At this time, I'd like to open it up to the committee, to the planning commission, for any of their questions that they may have. I know you had some, you have a list, so.
Sorry. Please don't hate me by the time we're done. Yeah, so I do have several questions that just kind of hit on different purposes with it. So do you have, provided this gets approved, like a tentative construction start date in mind?
Yeah, the zoning was approved. We have to come back again with the primary plat, so we would continue those plans pretty much right away. But at this point where we're at, almost being September, nothing would start construction until almost maybe summer, late spring next year. You wouldn't see any like dirt moving. And so that means homes at the soonest might start going up in winter. As mentioned, I guess for the schools, so, we would typically expect to sell 2 or 3 a month. So this would be about a 3 to 4 year build out, depending on how fast they went. Could be a little bit sooner, but as Marcella said, you don't have 72 homes all at once. So you have probably first homes maybe going up spring, but occupancy would be 27. And then from there, looking at about a 3 year completion.
That just answered 2 more of my questions. Thank you. What's your, so based off of that, what would you say? You said 2 to 3 per month.
Yeah, that's a tip of what we would expect. Yeah, I mean, if it's really well, we could see 4 or more.
Okay. And you said you're mid to high 300s.
Yeah, I mean, just with the way of cost of infrastructure and materials, I mean, the Arbor homes, that's what they sell for today, based on today's market.
Okay. And so I saw the consultant sewer study. I wanted to kind of go over that because of where we are currently as a town, and maybe this might be a question for you as far as like where we're going. So when I read over what the sewer capacity is now, I know that we've talked about doing, like upgrades and things like that. To speak to what Christy mentioned, which I don't think she's far off on, is those other land units are going to be sold to developers, and they're going to start bringing an influx of homes on that section too. So I think that that's something that has to be taken into consideration. So, thinking of that and thinking that, we don't really have a definite on that time frame of like those other properties, but what would that sewer capacity look like? And is that new system that the town is doing, do you know, like all of that, like the anticipated time, and are they planning to match it, or what is that?
So I'm not an engineer, so I don't know anything about, what those plans are or even how they assess the capacity per se. I'll say that like generally the approach when it comes to utility capacity is they are assessed on a sort of first come, first served basis. So this letter is not, so when they say that, we have capacity, what they're saying is we have capacity right now. If somebody comes in and takes that capacity before you finish building, our analysis doesn't look at that. So towards that point about other developments that are happening, you know, when they come for approval, they might find, depending on when that happens, they might find that they won't get a letter like that one that says, yeah, this is good. They might get one that says the town doesn't actually have capacity for this. It all just kind of depends on that timeline.
That makes sense. So do they hold that 72 lots to the side and basically say those are spoken for, that capacity is spoken for, so anything after, or it's just kind of as they
It's
build?
just kind of,
So every 2 to 3 homes per month that they're building.
Yes.
has
So
capacity.
exactly. So it'll depend whenever somebody else comes, if another developer comes and wants to build a subdivision like this, and they apply to get a capacity letter, because it is something that's required by the code for any PUD application. Then, like I said, depending on when that is, if that's 4 years from now and this is built out, that capacity might not be there for them. But if they were to apply tomorrow, they'd probably get a letter that says, yeah, we have the capacity.
Gotcha. Okay. I feel like that's a little concerning, but
I mean, I agree with you. It is a little concerning, but that's the engineering practice, I guess.
Sure.
I mean, doesn't it say in there that they were gonna upgrade the pumps at Main Street Lift Station?
I do believe so. I do believe it mentioned something about that in the letter.
In a perfect day, that would work.
Yeah.
In a non-perfect day, which is what we have a lot, that doesn't work. I work in it every day. You add another 72 homes, and then you get 3 inches of rain within an hour and a half, that lift station will overflow. It won't work, even with upgraded pumps. It needs a bigger lift station. I mean, the engineer reports and all that is made for everything being perfect.
Yeah,
lining
yeah.
up exactly how it should be. That's not the way that it works.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest concern.
Do you want to speak on that?
Well, I mean, yeah, we rely on the provider who gave us a will serve letter saying that it would meet capacity. So if it changes, we would have to deal with that during the process. But from what we understood as part of our application, that we were told they had capacity. So, and we looked at those potential upgrades, and so we're aware of that. But generally speaking, we didn't see it as an issue because they say they had capacity to serve us.
You do on a perfect day.
Yeah. And ultimately it's, it'll
The
be
engineers aren't out there at 3 a.m. when it's just rained, trying to pump this thing down, or, making sure that everything's running. It's the same way with the water. I mean, you say, like, you get a letter saying, yeah, we have capacity, which we do until a well goes down.
Yeah.
Or a high service pump goes down, and then it puts a bigger strain on everything.
on everything, yeah. And I'll say, ultimately, town council is the one who's going to decide whether or not to approve this ordinance and this rezone, and they're also the ones who decide whether to upgrade the systems. So both decisions are in their hands ultimately at the end of the day.
I have more questions.
he's answered some of them really. Are you guys doing phases at all, or are you just doing it per site?
Yeah, we would anticipate it'd be 2 sections, so about half of it being built, starting off where we do the first half, we get both entrances started, so you have 2 ways in and out, and then the back half, kind of the south moving west would be the second phase.
I think my only other question, which I don't really feel like anybody here might be able to answer, I know you guys are here, but not in an official capacity. I'm just curious about personally, what utilities and fire and police and basically all of the public works think about it and how that's going to impact them. And then I think that's really all I have because the rest have been answered. And I don't really know if there's anybody here that can speak to that, but
If I remember correctly, we have a committee. We tried to do a committee for that for the primary plat.
The TAC.
Yeah, we have that set up, but we don't have it set up at this level. We have it set up for the next level before their primary plat gets approved. We get input from police, fire, schools, or we try to.
and it's before the final approval,
No, it's for the first plat approval.
if it's already been approved. Would you want that opinion before you approve
So
that?
the way that these PUD ordinances and rezones work is they have an expiration date. So it's like basically, if no development happens, I think it's 2 years, then the ordinance expires and that's the end of that. So the process is kind of designed with that in mind, where like if you pass this ordinance, or if the rezone gets passed and the PUD ordinance gets passed, but then we get to the plat and we find out maybe this isn't such a good idea. Deny the permit or whatever. They can't build at that point, and then it expires. If that makes sense. And so it gives them the opportunity then also at the plat stage, if they find out that whatever they originally planned doesn't work, to try to retool that plan in a way that might still work.
At this point, which truly is just a rezone.
Oh, yeah, no,
I know you understand.
Yeah, I was just very curious about those things. And I think I'm not just asking for myself, I think a lot of the town is, based off of everything that I've heard. And so I think that there are a lot of questions. Did you guys I saw some referencing in here for it. Did you guys do a school impact study to see how it's going to affect the school growth?
No, because this was approved, we would talk to them during the primary plat phase as part of the TAC.
We had that school, he was in here last time.
Yeah.
And he said there was no.
I think it was Sterling that was in here last.
It was John Willis.
John Wallace, that's right.
Yeah.
They said that they wanted to have an impact on the schools. And that was with the larger neighborhood.
Yeah, it was how many hundred?
Mm-hmm. Is that all your questions? Is there any?
So I know the last time you guys gave up a lot of green space because the park was so close. What was your guys' reasoning for that?
Well, we talked about doing an impact fee that you could give money to the town to do more improvements to the park. But
How much do you anticipate on being able to help with the parks department? Like with the park that's so close for giving up that green space?
That was my question too.
Yeah.
Well, with this plan, we went back and added in the green space. And so that's when we added in our own playground. Before it didn't have anything. So we thought it was one or the other. We weren't looking at adding both.
So I don't want to speak for Brandon, but my assumption was, and that was the biggest question I had when I was reading through at my house, was that the idea was with the park being so close that this was going to be a great opportunity and something to help the rest of the residents within the town by building up the park that we already have and using this neighborhood to help assist that. And that I felt prior that the issue wasn't the plan, it was the amount being provided based on the impact on the homes beside it.
The financial amount?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, so I didn't hear that specific comment about the amount. So, does the town have park impact fees? I don't recall. Yeah.
I don't know.
For permitting?
Parking back fees. I don't believe parking. Not in the study, but nobody ever
No.
done some fees for us.
I think it was more of just an agreed upon amount. We were thinking, and then a guaranteed percentage coming from HOA fees. As you would have a certain percentage of HOA fees fee to your park that would be in your, to maintain the park that you have. But that X percentage that was agreed upon would be then set aside for specifically that park. I mean, not for anything, but we could say it's for that park.
So part of the HOA fees go into the town as well for the park? I'm not aware of that kind of.
I think that's why those two paths that come
Can you
from.
do that?
No, I don't believe so.
Oh.
You can use HOA fees. HOA fees are for the HOA.
Yeah. I didn't know.
You're asking for impact fees. Those are different fees. Yeah.
Yeah, there can be a impact fee, but HOA fees is not something usually you can tie to.
No.
Okay.
No.
That's what the taxes said.
What you're imposing is a very specific, unfair, unconstitutional tax.
I mean, we're just putting it all out there, okay?
and that's why we have lawyers.
It's a great idea.
I do have a question. The traffic study, I don't think took into account the construction about there right by get-go. When is that? Do you know if?
It's been delayed, I don't know the date. Look and tell you before I do.
Because
NDOT is short on funds.
Yeah.
Things get pushed, which I don't know. It's also one I counting at 600
Yeah.
as well, so
Yeah.
you have 3 in a row, so you're, it should be helped, it should be slowed a little bit. That's the thought. And I would say that NDOT is going to come and assess this, as things, 5 to 10 years from now, if something's to happen, you're gonna reassess what they need to do to make it safe. But there will probably be a light there one day. I often say that too. We can't say it now, because it doesn't get a threshold, and that's what that traffic impact analysis says, the threshold's not there yet. And I don't know if they included the roundabouts in all that or not. I didn't read it. Like you can do it.
Yeah, because because if you think about it, who's really wrong about the day?
Correct. And that was
That's gonna back up really
correct.
bad.
And that was spoke upon
Yeah, that was
last time.
Back up.
Was I here for last one?
You are.
Oh, okay. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, the concern was with the roundabout there being so close, with the entrance being so close to the roundabout that going west was gonna back up there to the neighborhood entrance, and so no one could turn left out of there, so everyone would have to turn right and then come down 900 and then down Vine
Especially since
to get out.
Has there been a dream study? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, a what?
Dream study?
Drains? No, not at this point. And that's something that, I think that's also something that comes in at the plat.
It does.
At the point of the plat is that they would need to get approval from the county, Madison County Drainage Board.
Does that impact sewer capacity?
My understanding is that the Drainage Board is concerned with stormwater, not sewage.
Okay.
Storm-
Different things.
Storm doesn't go to the sewer
Oh,
line.
well, it's not supposed to.
Not supposed to, yeah, correct. Not supposed to, but yeah.
I have that answer for you. So it's been pushed out, construction should happen sometime after July 2032.
Oh, wow.
Oh, the roundabouts?
2032.
Is that both roundabouts?
Yeah, both roundabouts.
Wow.
Yeah, it happens. Costs go up, everything gets pushed down the line. It happens all the time. It's different, I know, it was supposed to happen really
I
soon.
mean, it was just like, yeah.
Yeah, they're still under design right now. They're redoing design through 27, as it says now, so.
Yeah, and one thing with traffic, one thing with traffic I was gonna add is that, I mean, obviously it increases cars, but when the engineers look at the study, they're looking at a certain amount of capacity. They measured A through F, just like grading, and so there will be, I mean, don't be mistaken, there are gonna be more cars, but it's not to the point where it creates a level where the road system starts to fail. Otherwise, there would be improvements needed. That's what the study looks at. So 72 homes will bring more cars, so yes, there will be more traffic, but not to the level it requires improvements to fix the traffic.
At both entrances, do you have divided entrance exit, or is it just one solid?
It's just
strip?
one solid opening.
Question I had, just because you were talking about the price of the homes, I assume, and it appears to be that these Arbor homes are the same Arbor homes that were put in Tuscany, correct?
Yeah, they'll be the same ones.
I was just more curious, based on the price you said they start out at the low or start out in mid 300s, I think you said.
Yeah, they can vary. Like a ranch will be lower since it's smaller.
Yeah,
square
I was just shocked to hear that. Like more comment on that. When Tuscany was built, it was low to mid 200s, so we went up $100,000 in what, a year or two?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, that's why we were trying to develop. Arrival is meant to get people back into, because our mission as a home builder is bringing in first-time home buyers in. Like we don't sell to investors directly. Unfortunately, if someone buys it, they can then become an investor on their own. We can't regulate that, but we don't sell. We only sell to people who are buying it for themselves, at least what they tell us. And we're trying to get people out of apartments into, we don't even do a tax product for that reason, because most people don't, they'll go to duplexes or townhomes as like, I think as a last resort to own, to have something. But we prefer, our goal is about putting people and families in homes. And so we have the rival, which we're not doing here anymore, but that price point is meant to get us back to the low mid 200s. We won't do that here because understanding that the 3-story in particular did not fit the town scale.
Right.
And we understand that, and it is more dense. So we're trying to find markets to put that in. But yeah, Arbor used to be our entry or level price point, but it is now over 3.
I was just surprised when you said that. I was like, that's a huge price difference when we were just here not that long ago with Tuscany.
Yeah, that's just construction, the land costs.
Is there any other questions? A lot of the stuff I had after this, the plat stuff.
You can't tell from this drawing, is this a fence that goes around the property?
No, that's just showing the permanent landscaping.
I think it's bushes and trees and stuff. Bushes and trees. So. It might be weeds, I don't know. If there is no other questions or comments or concerns from you guys, this time I would entertain a motion for either a favorable or unfavorable recommendation.
I'll make a motion for an unfavorable condition to the town council.
I will second that.
Amy,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Justin,
No.
Brandon,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Evan, at this time, because I know there was confusion before and in the past, as a legal matter, can you explain, one of you two, what this means going forward, the difference between what we did here tonight and the town council at the next meeting?
This is the first step in the process of a rezone. At this point, the planning commission has the opportunity to provide either a favorable, unfavorable, or neutral recommendation to the town council. The petitioner has a right to be heard by the council, which is the final deciding body. Therefore, even though this body may forward a negative recommendation, they still will be heard at the next town council meeting, or I believe most convenient within 30 days or something of that nature after the passing. That being said, there are caveats regarding the difference in how this is weighed, whether it's a negative, neutral, or positive. And so with a negative, I believe the petitioner, Marcellus, correct me if I'm wrong, but the petitioner has other tranches that they must prove, I guess, right, at that point.
That might be correct. I'd have to,
It sounds good.
it sounds good.
So my HOA.
One way or the other, one way or the other, we'll have that research ready to go for the council.
Thank you. I just wanted, I know there was some confusion in the past.
Yes,
Between.
this is not the final, so, but it is a portion that must be done. And I think it has to do with the comprehensive plan, actually. That is how it factors in.
Oh, yeah, I think that's right.
Yep. So we haven't had a negative like this in a while. So I think 30 years actually. So.
All right, thank you. Next on the agenda is the planning commission discussion. We have code enforcement case updates.
Mm-hmm.
sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
I need to check on that application. No, it does because this is the public hearing. They don't require a public hearing, although it can be.
Okay. Sorry, I got to take notes for the council meeting to get this.
You're fine.
Okay.
Is there any code enforcement case updates at this time?
I don't think so, other than I think we put a couple stop work orders on some people who were putting roofs on and didn't get permits. I think other than that, there's not really a whole lot. We've got some people that are getting some pretty high fines. So I think we're ready to go to the second process on that part. So
Is there any movement on the church or the house by Smokies?
the house by Smokies has been cleared because they come in and closed up all the holes that were everywhere. We haven't done anything with the Blue Church, and
The house by Smokies was signed off on by the building inspector.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Any questions?
I got one, not about the case of information, but I got one thing I want to bring up.
Yeah, go ahead. We'll do that now.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. It kind of goes along with that case thing, but, so there's a business out on 800 that is not zoned to run a business out there. Evan, how does that negatively impact us as far as getting the tax dollars for our roads and stuff like that, since it's a heavy equipment, heavy truck?
So the property that you're speaking of, I know a little bit about. It has grandfathered in under a variance that they got from the county, a 99-year variance in Madison County, or gave them to run that as a business.
So is that taking effect even when Lapel annexes that?
My understanding, it was grandfathered in.
We'll need to look into that. Is it recorded?
I'm not the business.
Sorry,
I just know of
I'm
the
not
business.
attacking you.
I live really close to the business.
Okay, he's related to the business.
I may be related to the business, so I'm not.
You may want to recuse.
Yes.
I was just letting you know what I knew.
But I was just curious if that, like,
Heard it through a friend, heard it through the grapevine.
a normal property out there that pays the normal taxes doesn't have 40 or 60,000 pound trucks driving on our roads.
Even so, variances don't typically cover usage of that nature unless it's a special use case under permitted. Previous permitted.
So Lapel
Yeah, no,
doesn't,
we'll
doesn't
talk.
allow use
Yeah.
variances, but other municipalities might.
And so we'll need to, if it was before the annexation, we'd need to look back at the county zoning as well. So one way or the other, it's not we'll look into it. What is the property's number?
The address?
Uh-huh.
I'll tell you what it's listed under. Well, there's like 3 or 4 addresses for that property because it was
Maybe
part of our
they
old family
observe
farm.
the
So I
behaviors
honestly don't know what address it's listed under because it's 4 out there. I can have them bring up any paperwork this week or next week, just tomorrow. But
If it's there, we'll find it.
that's fine. I just don't know which address because there's 4 addresses there.
Okay.
Because one of the addresses is for the business, one was for the farm, one's for the house. It used to show 4 addresses. They used to.
I'm good.
Okay. Next on the agenda is planning administrator report.
Yes. So we don't have any new non-residential permits, so we're going to that section. And no pending planning petitions beyond the one we just heard today. For BZA case updates, I believe last month I had two potential cases for you. One, which is the state bank, looking for a variance to waive the off-street parking requirements. That has been, they've submitted their application and all their paperwork, and so that has been docketed for the September 4th BZA meeting. The other one that I think I brought last month, was a garage that they wanted to replace, but they wanted to make it deeper or larger than it already is. I haven't seen the paperwork for that yet, so we'll see if they decide they still want to go forward with the variance or if they've changed their plans. But today I found another application on my desk. It was for a building permit for a garage, different location than the one I just mentioned. And Dennis had asked if it needed a variance because the garage was damaged in a fire. And the replacement that they're proposing is larger than the original garage, and they are also appear to already be over the maximum lot coverage. And so I think Dennis was asking if the provision that allows you to replace something that's been destroyed by a disaster would apply there, and it would not. So this person is going to need a variance. I've left a note for Dennis. I've reached out for to get back to them on that so that we can understand their next steps. That's it for the BZA case updates. For administrative matters, a few months ago, I proposed changes to the fee structure for work in the right-of-way permits. So I have a little bit of an update on that. Brandon asked me to look at Pendleton's fee structure, and so I just made this little comparison, highlighting the differences between what Lapel has and what Pendleton has, kind of similar to how I do with the PUD ordinances, where I've highlighted Pendleton's ordinance, but if it's red, then that means that they're not doing something that Lapel does. If it's green, that means they're doing something that Lapel doesn't. Essentially, the changes that Lapel would need to make to Lapel would need to update its ordinance to get to allow Lapel to charge or to have a process like Pendleton's and to charge the kinds of fees, require bonds the way that Pendleton does. And so that would require, well, this wouldn't be a zoning ordinance change. I'm curious how this would.
How it affects the zoning, but simultaneously, where does it fall under?
Yeah, and whether town council needs a recommendation from plan commission or.
I need to verify, but no, I don't believe that they would. I think that it's beneficial to planning to understand for things like tonight.
Gotcha.
I had a question on this about the utility location.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it says, I deal with this stuff a lot at work. So it says nothing's required. If there's any digging, the state requires it, for one. But two, if they're not digging, I know, I just had this done for a crane coming into the university. 811 has been pushing back on not allowing locates for things that don't involve digging because of, not least in the Indy area, because of the mass amount and not enough people to locate them. So we called in one for a crane so we didn't crush an underground utility that's weak. And they said not explicable and would not follow through with it. So just FYI.
The next time you go through your digging.
It
Safest one.
is true.
So ourselves, we covered under, since the state requires 811.
Yes, yeah, and so that's why I wrote it as no explicit
Sure,
mention.
yeah.
I really, when I made this comparison, I looked at the information packets that both towns provide with the application. And then if there was any if either of those information packets made reference to a specific ordinance, then I checked that. Like I think Pendleton's information packet is basically just a reproduction of their ordinance. So that's why I wrote it as no explicit mention. It might still be covered.
Sure.
I just wasn't sure from what I looked at. And so yeah, I guess it's mostly for your information then. I had this column on here of a plan commission recommendation if we needed to get one, just to see. I wanted it to be clear if we did need plan commission recommendation, which parts specifically need recommendation. That's why that column is there. But it sounds like this is kind of mostly just for your information. These are changes that I'm going to suggest town council consider making. And that's it for the.
Thank you. Any questions about the report? Anything anybody wants to discuss? All right. If there's nothing else at this time, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn with the next meeting being September 11th, 2025.
Second.
Is that you, Justin?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Hi. Just like everybody else.
Just entertaining motion.
This might be making the motion.
You always get me with the entertain.